I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hi everybody, good evening and welcome. I'd like to start today with our exemplary people. Monroe student was elected as the Connecticut State Kid Governor for 2023. I'll turn it over to Joe.
You got it. Ellie.
He just came in.
Want to take your jacket off? You can go ahead and take it. We got to take a picture after this. We're really excited to recognize Ellie Mendez tonight. Ellie was selected as the 2023 Connecticut Kid Governor by more than 9,000 fifth graders across the state. Fifth graders from around the state participated in the Connecticut Kid Governor program, and it came down to 7 finalists, Ellie being one of those. Ellie got the nod and is going to be our new Connecticut Kid Governor. Those other finalists will serve as Ellie's cabinet members this year. We want to congratulate Ellie as she looks to address the issues of anxiety and depression. She has made us proud so far, and I know she's going to continue to make us proud. So congratulations, Ellie. Why don't you come on up? We'll take a quick picture over here, and we have a little certificate for you.
Come over.
Great idea to laugh.
Ellie, we already said congratulations, but I'll say it again. Okay, congratulations. You did a wonderful job, and we loved your speech. And the ceremony at Monroe L was phenomenal. If you get a chance, it's on YouTube. You should see it. It was everybody was very, very surprised and happy for you. So congratulations.
Thank
all right,
you.
I know you're going to make us proud up there. Let's stand right here. We'll take a picture. All right, thank you very much. You can. You don't have to stay. You can.
I know that now you're into politics and you're going to be
Yeah, I
spending
know.
some time at meetings, but you don't have to stay for this one.
You don't have to stay. But thank you. Okay, we shall move on to public participation. There are no sign-ups. Is anyone here for public participation? No. Moving forward. Report of the chairman. I'd like to acknowledge 2 donations. Number 1, the board would like to acknowledge the Monroe Rotary Club with gratitude for their donation of dictionaries to all the 3rd graders in the district. I'd like to turn it over to Dennis. Can you tell us a little about that?
I'd like to thank you for the recognition. Monroe Rotary, I don't know if you people know what Rotary is. You guys should be in Interact. But basically it's a small organization, 192 countries, 33,000 clubs, founded in 1905 by a guy by the name of Paul Harris, business people in Chicago. But basically, we've been doing a dictionary program for 13 years now. And, you know, as the kid said this year, it's like, wow, why is it so small? I said, by the time you're my age, it'll be twice the size. So they really are appreciative of the dictionaries, and we really appreciate putting them out there so kids have something that doesn't break or run out of batteries, and they can actually keep looking up words and learn to read a little bit better. Mr. Cobbs had challenged them all to kind of find 3 or 5 words that they haven't seen before, and so they're feverishly going through the books. But it's a great event, and I offer all of you the opportunity to go to Rotary. It meets Thursday mornings. 7:30 is probably a little rough for you guys, but you guys have the benefit of Interact that's in the school, which is a Rotary sub. We're the only service organization that actually has a seat at the UN. Our claim to fame's really been trying to stamp out polio. You guys have no idea what polio is, but
Thank God.
the rest of us have, and we were pretty good up until 2 years ago. We had 195 countries without polio, with the exception of 1, Afghanistan, and now unfortunately it's back to spreading. So you may find out what polio is more than you'd like to. So again, appreciate the recognition. I'll pass it on to the club.
Yeah, thank you very much. Tell
Thank
them
you.
thank you. We appreciate it every year. Yep. And secondly, an anonymous donation of $3,300 was received to improve the Career Center at Massac High School. So the board would like to thank that anonymous donor, and I know the money will go to good use there.
Yeah, I have a quick little picture of some of the stuff the guidance department was looking at, kind of reimagining the Career Center right now. There's kind of just a big table in there. It's where a lot of our college rep visits come in. So they're looking at making some kind of more flexible seating, some soft seating, put up some posters. They want to put a TV in the room, so when people come in to do their college presentations and whatnot, they can have a display. So the money will go to good use for sure.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments from the board on the minutes? At the end? Yep. Any questions on the warrant? No? I do want to let the board know that when I was looking through it, first of all, I'm always amazed at the diversity in the amount of vendors that we use, and I did ask Joe about one of the vendors was Seymour Ambulance, and that if we can use more local, if we could use Monroe EMS for any of those things, and he's going to look into that. I know the board several years ago said that all things being equal, we'd like to use Monroe vendors for everything as much as possible, keep the money local. So he's going to look into that. It was for CPR training, but CPR training of instructors,
So it
which
was
is a little different.
Yeah, apparently in the past, it was Seymour Ambulance has trained Sue Shebe, who's our lifeguard teacher at Massac, but she's a trained trainer. And that's what we did here, is we tried to get 8 of our PE teachers trained to be certified instructors. It'll really just help us out throughout the year. We always have opportunities when, especially with coaching, whenever we bring on new coaches, any
Need an
coach
instructor,
needs
yeah.
to be, to coach with us, needs to be CPR and first aid certified to be able to do that. And it's really difficult and costly when you're vending that out to outside agencies
Yeah.
to come in and do it. So now we have 8 folks in-house who can do that work for us. But to your point, I did put an email out to Monroe EMS today to see if they have the capacity. Again, it's not training people for CPR and first aid; it's training them to be trainers,
Instructor, right.
to be instructors for first aid and CPR.
So that just caught my
It's also
eye.
American Heart, right? So, and that's a pretty good
That
expense.
or
They
Red
just
Cross, yeah.
upgraded
Yeah.
that amount, and
Yeah.
it's costly. So we have 8 now that are certified trainers.
Certified instructors now.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, so that was my question on the warrants, because again, we'd like to keep money local as much as possible. And then, Joe, you have a retirement to tell us about?
We do. Karen Fontenot, special ed teacher at Fawn Hollow. She's been a teacher at Monroe since 2003. Karen started as a long-term sub and was a part-time reading teacher at Monroe Elementary. After a couple years at Monroe L, Karen became a special education teacher at Fawn Hollow, where she has worked for the remainder, and where she'll finish up her career as a special education teacher there. Like a lot of our retirees that we have, Karen's going to leave some really big shoes to fill for us. So, but we definitely, like all our others, we wish them well.
Absolutely. So, Dennis, you have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Okay, would
Can I do
somebody
that
like to? You can say it now, yeah.
Motion to approve. the consent
Okay,
agenda.
can I have a second on that from anyone? Thank you, Jeff. Any discussion? None. All in favor? Aye, unanimous. Thank you very much. We shall move on to the reports of the committees, and we're going to start with our student reps, all ready and eager to go.
Good evening. We hope you're all having a magnificent Monday. The school's Interact Club is encouraging everyone to donate $1 to wear pajamas on Friday, having all proceeds go to the Connecticut Children's Fund.
Massac played killingly in a tight battle on Sunday with a final score of 51-54. Tryouts for winter sports are underway. The Massac Drama Department announced that it is hosting Romeo and Juliet as its seasonal play, and Massac held its class meetings during Flex this week.
Last weekend, Massac Robotics competed at the intense WPI Robotics Tournament, where both Team A and Team E placed, and Massac Robotics is looking forward to another tough challenge this weekend at Weston. Additionally, last Thursday, both Investing Club and FBLA combined to compete at the Fintron Stock Market Challenge. Combining a stock market simulation and a business Jeopardy challenge, the Massac team of Michael DiMatteo and Eric Unger placed 3rd overall. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the student reps? No? Thank you very much. Have a good night.
My only question, was that a different Eric Unger?
Yeah, you're right. If you can figure out the market, let us know.
Any other reports on committees from board members? No? Okay, we're going to keep moving right along. Report of the superintendent. Joe.
I'm going to turn it over to Jen, who is going to give us the update on enrollment and financials for special education.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Jen.
So the month of November had a significant impact on special education enrollment and year-to-date budget. In November, we welcomed 7 new students with existing IEPs to the district. We had 2 students who were dismissed from services and 11 students who were made eligible for special education services in the month of November. So this brings our total number of identified students right now to 543. So if you look at in your board pack, if you look at the second to last column, that's called high cost, there are 3 students who are newly enrolled who are actually high cost students. So I just want to explain, so when a student qualifies for high cost, that is when their services exceed 4.5 times the per pupil expenditure. So when a student moves into district, the receiving school must continue to fund a student's programming. So an example of this would be when a newly enrolled student is already attending an outplacement. They would continue at that said school until such a point when the PPT team determines that it's no longer necessary. So I just wanted to draw attention to that. Any questions about enrollment before we move on?
Our percentage, are we still around 15%?
We're at 16 now.
We're at 16 now? Okay.
We're at 16.
All right, thank you.
Yep. So these changes in enrollment naturally have an impact on spending. So when reviewing the year-to-date budget that you have in your pack, it should be noted that in the past month, the tuition public line continues to grow. So if you look at page 1 on the tuition public line, we are now overspent by $318,000. So obviously when we're programming for students who are outplaced, we also have to provide transportation to them as well. So if you look at page 3, the second transportation line is now overspent by $188,900. And then if you look on page 4, there's another transportation line that's over by $4,600, an extra $4,600 this month. And that's because some students who are in outplacements and need transportation also need monitors in those vehicles. So we are watching, but we have definitely had a big month this month. Okay. So our department, our special education administrators are really, monitoring all these expenditures at the same time, making sure that we are giving the students everything they need within their IEPs.
Questions? Any questions on it? No?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I had on the agenda central office space. I think I'm going to hold off on that right now. We've been looking around. I know we've talked, to this board a few times about, the preschool program and the expansion of it and what that's meant to us. We're trying to find some creative alternatives. So before I get too far down the rabbit hole, we're having some conversations internally with the principals about some alternatives that we can do. So I'm going to hold off on that for now. Trying to do whatever we can do that's going to have the least budget impact on us as possible. I did on new business tonight. There is a piece on there to amend the agenda. I'm sorry, not amend the agenda, to a draft motion to look at rates, and specifically I'm talking about rates for substitute teachers. We're going to have to increase our rates for subs no matter what at some point this year, just by the fact that minimum wage is going up to $15 an hour by June 1.
Yep.
Yeah. That would put us out of compliance for our daily subs. Right now, we pay our daily subs $95 a day and our permanent subs, so $105 a day. So a daily sub is someone who we call up, they come in and they sub for us. Permanent subs are people that, hey, every day I'm coming to this building and they're gonna put me wherever the principals assign me. So we're gonna have to increase at least the daily subs anyway. The bigger issue, quite frankly, and we had a long conversation, the principals and I, and the assistant principals. The bigger issue is that we're not getting substitutes at these rates right now. Other districts around us, Trumbull most recently, has upped theirs to $120. Anecdotally, we've talked to some of these folks that started filling out paperwork with us and, maybe went through the whole process and then they're not taking jobs. And when we call them, well, how come? Well, because I'm in, some of these other towns who've increased a little bit more. I suggest, and what I would suggest that we look to amend further down tonight, to amend the rate sheet, would be to increase the rates to $110 for both, daily subs and permanent subs. Ron and I have been looking at a number of areas. I think, we're tracking okay in health insurance. So we feel like, we can cover that. And it's something also, as we're building the budget for next year, we're worried about that. But right now, I know these folks, the principals, the assistant principals at the middle school and high school, are running around every day trying to figure out how to get their buildings covered. So, and it's difficult. At the high school, you could do some things that are not optimal. If you can't get a sub in a class, if you can't get a sub in a class, and you can't get a teacher to cover a class, the class will come to the library or go to the cafeteria. Not really what we want kids to be doing. We want them to be supervised doing, lessons that the teachers have left behind for them. At the elementary and middle schools, it's pulling staff, itinerant staff, reading staff sometimes that can't, are not able to, do some of the important work that they're supposed to be doing to help cover classes. So it's definitely, it's an issue. I know it's also not an issue that we're experiencing alone, as you see from what's going on in towns around us as well. But I think in order to be competitive, we have to bump it up a little bit.
You have a rough estimate of daily sub need? How many are you looking for?
What would you guys say at the elementary levels? Rough estimate of daily sub need, probably 2 or 3 at least a day in a building to be fully covered. Yeah.
And second question, not to spend more than we need to, but
I know.
If the neighbors are 120 and we're 110.
I know, I'm afraid to go that high. I know. We could talk about it. I mean,
Unless you go 115.
yeah. I'm trying to really keep people that live in Monroe staying here, and I think if we
Right.
make it close enough, they'll stay. That's why I went with 110, because that's who some of the folks that we're trying to get back are people that are living in Monroe that we're trying to go. But I'm open. I mean,
Ron, can we be flexible? Give them a range to go to 115 if needed?
yeah, I think we.
I know that hurts, but squeeze,
yeah.
okay?
I think 115 would work.
All right. So you're gonna make a motion to approve that tonight?
What I would suggest is when we
It's
get
under
down
new
to new
business.
business, we
Okay.
make a motion to adjust the rates sheet to reflect substitute teachers at the rate of whatever we all agree on, 110 or 115. We were looking to make this effective what? Yeah, right after the holiday.
We definitely need to be competitive, at the very least. Come very close or
I mean,
match. Yeah,
It can't be stretched.
yeah.
you
So that
know,
they're not scrambling every day. Yeah. That's 2 per building average, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not district-wide, that's 2 per,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the flu's going around, so.
There are people
Hey, cut that.
I know. Yeah.
Some days it could be upwards of 50, 6 teachers out. I mean, some days it could be 6, and some days it could be 2.
Right, that's right. Unfair question, but I was kind of figuring out an average.
All we each other trying to figure out how we're gonna keep it safe, so.
And I was just ballparking, and I was assuming already with your permanent subs or your interns, yeah. Yep.
Paraprofessionals and
Yep.
you're covering IT hours when they're, so it's not just classroom pieces. And some days are great and you're happy, but some days have been. And I think we're all short-staffed to begin with. So, for example, Monroe L has 3 positions that aren't even filled right now. So every day, even if everybody shows, I'm -3. I need 3 people just to fill those positions that no one's applied for it right now. And then I have someone else out. So every day, it's like you're starting, even if everybody was healthy and came to work, I'm -3 people.
We were in a very good spot this year with certified staff, and we continue to be in a good spot with certified staff, but non-certified staff is still a challenge, for sure.
Yep. Joe, go ahead.
And the last thing, well, not the last thing, but I just wanted to highlight that Dave and also Tony Scott, who both came to the legislative breakfast at CES on Friday. CES hosts this annually. It's an opportunity for area superintendents, board chairs, and legislators in the area, whether they're state reps, state senators, to get together and just kind of speak candidly and freely about issues that we're experiencing that we would like some legislative support on. A couple of them are ones that have been. One's been probably as old as they've been having these breakfasts, which is, school funding, especially as it
Unfunded
relates to
mandates,
special education and unfunded mandates. The other one is mental health. That's been important in the past few years. That came up, but I think there was also some appreciation for what the legislature did this year, and sinking some resources to that. I know we've applied for a grant to get some additional support here in Monroe. Teacher evaluation came up, and then the big thing that got a little uncomfortable at times was the reading legislation that we talked about at this meeting. And the reason why I say it got a little uncomfortable is one of the sponsors and authors of that bill was there, and there was, I think, a little frustration among some of my colleagues' part in explaining, yes, we all agree, like we've talked about at this meeting, we agree with the science of reading, we just don't agree with mandating that it's one of these 6 programs. Let's have programs that have, phonics, phonemic awareness, fluency, comprehend, let's make sure those are in our program. So more to come on that. We are still waiting. I think there's some frustration with the State Department of Ed because they have not presented the waiver yet to districts, so we don't even know what the waiver is going to include as of yet. So we'll find out.
We asked for some tweaks on that, specifically with the waiver, and to make it easier for us to apply for that waiver, since we are successful there, and allow the state to focus on those districts that need the extra help. So very good conversation. I was glad that so many state legislators were there. It does open up the door, just trying to get them to understand that when they write a bill, it's up to all our staff to actually boots on the ground and put it into place, and that takes a lot of hours and a lot of time and a lot of rescheduling. So it's the follow-up to their work that there was some good conversation of. Like I said, got heated with some things, very candid, very candid conversations. It was good. I think they need to hear this stuff. Hopefully more and more will show up every year, but it's well attended, and it was worth going, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the impetus behind the bill, I understand where, I think everybody in the room understood where they were coming from.
Want everyone to read.
It's not the
right?
what, it's the how.
Yeah.
But they keep doing it. They keep throwing unfunded mandates at us.
One
and every
lady
year they
came
hear it.
right out and said, "Why do you keep doing this?" Yep. I mean, brutally honest and candid. Yep. With the unfunded mandates and the mandated curriculums, and it's all well intentioned. It's just they don't understand that the work it causes the staff, or to implement. That's the implementation of everything. So
The burden of proof.
that came up
Yeah.
every year. That comes up.
That's just Connecticut and what other states?
6 states.
There's only 6 states.
Oh, it's
total.
6.
Yeah, and they were making recommendations on looking at those other states that have gotten it down very well and saving everybody a lot of money. So it keeps coming up. We'll see. Yep, every year. Yep. Budget transfers.
And the last thing, Ron, just want to walk us through the budget transfer?
Yeah, so that was at the request of the athletic director. He was moving funds from, his request is to move funds from the athletic other costs to keep the supply line.
And that was for the use of digital textbooks in the health class.
It's 500 and
$583.56.
okay. And just to let the board know too, I also had a conversation with Joe and Ron, and looked up our policy on these transfers. Ron's going to check with the auditor, because my suggestion is, should we have policy committee look at this and change it so that they only have to come to the board at a certain threshold, for example, $1,000 or more or something like that, because for them to have to come to us for even $10, it's it's very transparent. We see the warrants, we see the budget, and I would be comfortable with that. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but Ron's going to check with the auditors. If they're okay with it, I'll make a recommendation to policy committee, and we'll give it to them. All right. And if anyone else has an idea about a threshold, please let us know. So we'll vote on that one almost next. Okay, any questions for Joe? Okay, getting off easy tonight.
Yeah, too easy. It's not over.
Okay, unfinished business. That should actually be number A, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Curriculum second review, vote anticipated. Anyone have any questions or comments on the AP US History that was presented to us at the last meeting? No? I think it was very straightforward and gets us up to date. No? Any questions on that? No? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the AP US History materials as presented to the board at the last board meeting? Jerry, seconded by Alan. Thank you. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Aye, unanimous. Motion passes. Thank you very much. We're going to go to new business. Very happy that we're entertaining a international field trip. It's about time that COVID is over a little bit. I just want to refresh the board. Policy 6153 requires the Board of Education approval for all foreign field trips at least 90 days in advance. The other thing that I want to let the board know is I did look at the policy. On our agenda, it says first review. Under our policy, it's not required that we have a first review or a second review. We could vote on this tonight. Alan and I had a little conversation about this. I feel it might be best to allow a first review and then a second review, so this way if there's any parent or public input on an international trip, it gives us a couple of weeks or to the next meeting to hear that.
Rush, yeah.
I don't think Canada's that controversial, but just to let the board know that that's why we're hearing it, and if you want to keep it that way, that's fine. Yeah, Dennis?
Will that delaying it to next meeting, will we still meet the 90 day?
Yes.
And have we used
yeah.
Veronica before?
I'm sorry?
We have.
You have?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, we're going to get a presentation on that, but I just want to let the board know, especially for our new members, that why we're hearing this, so, go ahead.
Iga, you can stay there if you want. So let me introduce.
I'm gonna move over.
I apologize. This is Iga Lashinsky. Iga, you can sit right over here.
Take a kid seat.
This is Iga Lashinsky. Iga is our French teacher, one of our newer members of our world language department, but definitely a seasoned veteran for sure. Iga would have been here with Monica Gagnon, so this is a interdisciplinary proposed trip between Iga as a French teacher and Monica Gagnon, who is our art teacher. Unfortunately, Monica got sick and she couldn't make it tonight. We just talked to her, so she put poor Iga on by herself today. So Iga, I'll turn it over to you right now, and then you just let me know when you want me to.
Okay, I will just
be your
make a
remote
sign. Or
control. Yeah,
okay. I'll say in French, suivant. And I am very pleased to meet everyone here. So as you heard, I teach French here at Massac. I actually started at Massac about a year ago in February, but I also worked as a tour leader for about 10 years. And as you can see, Monica, the art teacher, and I would like to bring our students to Canada, Quebec, Montreal. And why we would like to go there, it's first we know that our neighbors speak French, which presents a very motivational and enriching experience for our students, the true French immersion experience. But also we are going to visit a few museums and the downtown of Montreal and Quebec, which is definitely an architectural and aesthetic value that would benefit the art students as well. We would be traveling with this very reputable travel agency based in Boston, Explorica. The agency was recommended to us by other teachers who traveled with them, and they only said good things about them. Nobody complained, everything went well. They went on a similar tour. In the total fee for the trip would be about a little bit more than $1,100. The fee is based on the number of participants. It was set on 30 students going plus 3 chaperones, the 1-to-10 ratio. And this fee includes everything, the accommodations, the meals, breakfast and dinners. We would also have a tour leader with us for the time being, 24-hour professional tour director. Basically, all the tours will be guided. The tickets are included, the meals, and of course the bus from here. Okay. So let me say a few words about the itinerary. What we would be visiting there. We would leave Massac around at about 7 a.m. And on the same day, because it takes only about 8 hours to travel, 8 or 9 hours to travel to Quebec City, we would be offered a tour, our first tour in Quebec downtown, as well as a dinner at a crepe restaurant in Quebec. The whole next day too would be spent in Quebec City, all these landmarks that are listed in the presentation, and we'll finish with a nice dinner at a Sugar Shack, which is a local attraction. They serve meals and desserts based on their specialty, the maple syrup. On day 3, after visiting a few landmarks, we would go to Montreal, along the St. Lawrence River, and then we would also be offered a first tour in Montreal. Okay, and day 4 would be full day in Montreal. We would be basically visiting the landmarks as well as a few museums, and maybe let's go to day 5. The next slide would finish with a contemporary art visit and then come home. The arrival is planned for at about 8 p.m. and of course it depends on the number of stops on the way. Yes. The agency also covered the insurance, and we would stress to make it clear with the families that they would be responsible for obtaining any additional trip cancellation insurance. And that under any circumstances, the board would not be responsible for any refunds.
This was something
And-
Iga, Monica, and I talked about.
Yes, so of course, they all have the policies. But so here, I actually have this printed if anyone is interested to take a look at that. If a student resigns and cancels, the amount of money that is reimbursed depends on when the student cancels. So if it's more than 95 days, the agency will keep about $129 non-refundable deposit. If it's 95 to 46 days, it's about 50% of all fees plus the $100 deposit. 45 days or less, it's 100% of all fees plus the deposit. So yeah, so this is the policy. And thank you for your attention, and please ask me questions.
Is that, I'm sorry, Dave,
No, go ahead.
is that, stop. Is that regardless of government stop, if the government stops travel to Canada for some COVID reason? Does that
So-
stay in effect, or is that?
No, so these are the circumstances that would have to be discussed with all the providers on the trip, the hotels, because the agency, of course, books the hotels and everything ahead of time. So that does not only depends on the agency, but also all the providers and the Canadian government as well in such circumstances. So I would definitely reach out to agency if they have any experience with this, and just to provide more information.
COVID restrictions?
Yeah.
Yes, but COVID, I know we traveled, we were reimbursed all the full cost of our plane tickets to Poland, where I come from.
You're flying to Quebec, or you drive, and it's?
No, we are taking a bus from here, yes.
Thank you.
Not a school bus.
No, oh no.
Yeah. Right, can't get them. Any other questions? Is the board comfortable? We'll leave this for second review next meeting? Are we comfortable doing that? Okay. I think it's a great idea, and I'm looking forward to getting back to doing these type of things, so I think it sounds great.
It's exciting. It's a nice way for us to tip our
Break the
toes
ice.
back in the water a little bit, and or dip our toes back in the water a little
Yeah.
bit. But if you have questions between now and the next meeting, let me know. Send me an email, and I'll ask Iga and Monica to look anything up if you need it. If not, won't ask them to come back for the next meeting.
No. All right, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Iga.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move forward.
Excited to get back in it?
What, Dennis?
No,
Oh.
saying
I think it's very
exciting.
exciting.
It is, yeah, it is, it's nice. Under new business, to B, rate and fees for fiscal year 2023 revision with a vote anticipated. Joe, any other fees that were we're
Nope.
looking at? Just the
Just,
substitute fee?
just the substitute fees for now, and it's a revision to this year's fees. Usually we set these fees in June, so we would probably vote on these again in June. You know, this is where we have our overtime costs, our lunch charges, substitute rates, all that. But this would be, you know, I would suggest just a motion to approve the adjusted rate and fee schedule to reflect the change in the substitute pay from, again, I don't know if you're going to 110 or 115.
What you gotta do?
If somebody wants to make a motion, then obviously we'll discuss it. So Dennis,
I'd like to make a motion to approve up to $115 at his discretion based on availability.
okay, Dennis is making a motion to approve as drafted up to $115. Jeff, you're seconding
I'll second.
that? Okay, we have a second on 115. Discussion.
Joe, is that rate the same for certified versus non-certified if you called a
We-
sub in, or you do not call the subs in for non-certified?
So are you asking if someone comes in to certify for, I'm sorry, if someone comes in to sub for a para or a
Right.
teacher?
Is it the
We've
rate?
never differentiated
Oh, okay.
rates between, I saw a couple, as I was doing some background on this, I saw a few places that did it. Most don't, but I did see some that did. It was actually interesting because I'd never seen that before. But yeah, it's the same rate.
And Ron, you believe we can cover this with existing budget?
I
Okay.
mean, the unknown is you increase the rate, you're probably going to get more subs, so that's kind of.
Right, but at least we'll have openings covered, yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure we're not going to go into deep water, that's all. Okay. Any further discussion?
There's no way to do a variable rate at all, based on experience and what have you.
A live-in-town rate versus an out-of-town rate?
What do you mean, Jeff?
Well,
Like-
Like a retired teacher versus somebody who's never been certified? or
Correct.
anything like that?
There are some places that do that too. If you're a retired teacher and you come back and do it, they get paid like, in a lot of places, like 150. If
I mean, I
we-
would imagine that would be better for us if we had.
Yeah, if we have open, a lot of times we have open teaching positions, like maternity is a good example, where a lot of our retired staff come back and, you know, they actually get paid at their rate because it's a state law, so, they get paid well. This doesn't seem to be I don't think this would be a barrier, you know, for being able to get retired teachers if we did at this rate. Matter of fact, one of the emails I got was from a retired teacher who substitutes for us.
They also have limitations on what you can earn when you're collecting a pension, too, right?
45%,
Right, yeah. So,
unless you're in certain areas.
What does the composition of our subs currently look like? Is it predominantly in town, or is it all over?
It's a mix. It's a mix. There's a, you know, I don't know exactly, but I'd venture to guess close to 50-50. I don't know if that's fair to say.
I would say most of the people that we have on a daily basis that come are people from in town. We have parents that have I'm Stephanie, so Monroe parents will come sub for us. So I would say most of our reliable subs are from in town.
Mhm.
And then former teachers that have taught in town. Yeah.
Reliable.
anything further? Further discussion? No? Okay, all in favor? Ayes, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion passes. Move on to item C, approval of the budget transfer. Do I hear a motion to approve the budget transfer as presented at tonight's meeting? Jerry, seconded by Dennis. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye, unanimous, motion passes. Thank you very much. We're going to move to item number D, approval of the 2023-2024 school calendar with a vote anticipated. Joe, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure thing. Hopefully you have the
Everybody get
calendar in front of you. I want to thank Dennis, first of all, for sitting on the committee, as well as representatives from, you know, all of our bargaining units were there, and I definitely want to thank Sheila for coordinating the entire group and coming up with a calendar for us to hopefully adopt tonight. Sheila proposed. Our conversation was, this isn't about like, let's choose A, B, or C calendar. Sheila had created about 3. It was really from that, what dialogue do we want to have, and can we mix and match from each of the calendars? And this is where we arrived. And I'll walk through some of the rationale. And Sheila, feel free to you know, correct me and step in whenever you want. But we had So if you look at the calendar we've adopted, one of the things that we heard from loud and clear from everybody really in the room was we started a little bit too early this year. It was a full 7 days before Labor Day, and heat was an issue. Jeff doesn't mind how early they start, get him out of the house. So what we looked at was starting, and traditionally we have always started the week before Labor Day. It was just kind of weird the way Labor Day fell this past year, and it falls a little bit earlier next year. So it would be also changing the first 3 days of teacher time, if you see that in yellow there, to 2 days. So we would have convocation, 1 day of professional development instead of 2 days of professional development, pushing those days out later in the year. I think a lot of times, it just gets to be a little bit of overload for teachers who are getting ready for their kids. Trying to be responsive to the heat needs that we've experienced around the district. So the next 3 days are the first 3 days for students are half days. So they would come in on Wednesday the 30th, come in the 30th, 31st, and 1st. That would be the break for the Labor Day weekend. Those would all be half days. Again, it gives us a chance to get in our buildings while they're cooler, to get the kids out while they're a little cooler. They would be full days for teachers still. We could do professional work, collaborative work together with the teachers and the paraeducators together. It could be some really useful time there. And that could be done in air-conditioned rooms. That could be, in libraries and other areas that have some air conditioning. You see on there, the 4th is Labor Day, the 25th is, I know it's one of the Jewish holidays, I apologize.
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur. And then we move into October. We're looking at October 9th to put that professional development day that we normally have 3 in the beginning of the year to the 9th. That would fall on Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples Day on the 9th. And then the 7th is, every year we have that Tuesday off for Election Day. It's a professional development day for teachers. Same November setup as we have now, as you see, with the half day before Thanksgiving. That was a topic of conversation. The Friday before the winter break is a half day. Move into January, observance of New Year's Day, and then Martin Luther King on the 15th. February break, keeping with the traditional schedule that we've had for the past few years around President's Weekend, having the Friday and Monday off. And then having our last professional development day on Friday, March 15th. March is kind of a longer month with a few days off. There's only one other day is off this year because Good Friday falls so early that the 29th is Good Friday. The next topic of conversation came on the week of the break, and it was kind of split this year. The CES calendar, which is the regional calendar that we try to follow as closely as possible, has that 3rd week off. That's traditionally our week off. It seems a little bit longer because Easter does fall so early this year, but the group arrived on that, keeping it to our traditional 3rd week off in April. Then you see the Memorial Day, and then we're set to get off on June 11th. If we were to have 6 snow days, that would put us into the 19th. But we would observe the Juneteenth as a federal and state holiday.
Yep. Any questions for Joe on school calendar? No one's walking around over there. That's why the lights are shutting off. They're on motions. I see everyone looking up, so.
I will say I do enjoy getting the kids back to school as soon as possible. But I certainly understand.
Good thing you weren't on the committee.
We have summer programs available. You can sign them up for it.
Yeah.
No? Okay. Hearing none, with that motion being made, right? We made that motion? Checking myself. All in favor? Aye, unanimous. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jeff.
Yep, sorry, Jeff. Next meeting is going to be December the 19th. I want to let the board know that just prior to that meeting, we'll get our budget books, and then the fun time begins. Jerry?
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Motion to adjourn. Can I have a second? Jeff, all in favor? Aye, unanimous. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.